hear them at the door? Can you hear their claws? Can you smell that foul breath? The hackers are coming. No longer are they satisfied to attack us on the superhighway. No longer will the bandits stay to the road. No, now they come for us. You can hear them outside. They want in. They want to get our data, to suck us dry, to leave lifeless profiles filled with nothing, scattered upon our infrastructure. Well, I say no. I say not today. I say that we must stand up and defend ourselves. Men, man the firewalls. Tonight we go to war. So, you're worried about the hackers, the crackers, the script kiddies, all those people out there that want to get into your computer and steal your data. Well, this class is going to teach you about how to defend yourself from all those people. We're going to talk about antivirus software, anti-malware software, we're going to talk about firewalls, we're going to talk about updates, and we're going to talk about simple ways you can protect yourself from being attacked by those evil hackers out there on the internet. So, if you want to stick around for the next few minutes, we'll go over the fundamentals to computer security. To fight your enemy, you must know your enemy, and your enemy are hackers. Who are hackers? Well, hackers are the people that try to find new and inventive ways to get around the security devices that are in your computer or on your network. They like to crack security the way your grandfather likes to do crossword puzzles on Sunday morning. They do it for a lot of reasons. Some of them do it for fun. Some of them do it because they're self-righteous, or they believe software companies are self-righteous and they want to put those software companies in their place. A lot of people hack Microsoft products to prove how bad Microsoft products are, and that's the only reason they do it. The people that you really have to worry about are the people that hack your computer for profit. These are the people that try to steal your credit card numbers or try to get other information out of your system that they can sell on the black market. So hackers are people that try to get around your security on your computer. They do it for a lot of reasons, but whatever reasons they do it, they're all bad for you, and you should be aware that they're out there. So, like all things with computers, hacking has become a lot easier over the years. Remember back in the days when you had to use a DOS prompt in order to write a term paper for school? Well, now you've got a nice little Windows interface, and you can move a cursor around or a mouse around and click on things, and in the blink of an eye you can do what would have taken you hours and hours and hours to do 10 years ago. Well, the same is true with hacking. There are now people out there called script kiddies, and these are also people you should be aware about. These are not very smart people, generally. These are people that know how to press a few buttons, click a few things, and steal your information. Just like Microsoft has made word processing easier by coming out with Word, hackers have their own version of hacking Word, where they have come up with software that's very easy to use, that anybody can use, to try to steal your data and information. So the other thing to remember when you're dealing with hackers and when you're dealing with computer security is you're not just dealing with really smart people anymore. Hacking is so easy, your 5-year-old can do it. Who knows, your 5-year-old might be doing it, so something to keep in mind. Now, the first thing that you're going to need to do in order to protect yourself and your computer is to make sure all of your software is properly updated. What does this mean? This means that your operating system has all of its updates, that your Office suite has all of its updates, that things like Adobe Flash, Adobe Acrobat PDF Reader, Java, that all the software on your computer is fully updated. Because what hackers do is they use flaws in code that they find to be able to get into your computer and remotely access it. So Microsoft ships out an operating system. There's a problem that they don't realize. Well, they find out about the problem, and then they fix the hole that the hackers can use to get into your computer, and they send out an update for that. Well, if you never download or install the update, then you're still vulnerable. This was a really big problem with one of the worms that happened about 2 years ago. Microsoft found out about the problem. Microsoft had a patch out that anybody could download for 3 months before the worm attacked. Not enough people downloaded the patch, and the worm spread all over the world and crashed like 100 million computers. The update was there. If people had downloaded it and installed the updates, they would have been fine, but they didn't, and so they got infected with the virus. It's very important to not just update your operating system and your Office programs. Many people forget about things like Flash and Java. We saw a lot of computers come in that had been infected with a virus that attacked old versions of Java. Well, what would happen? Somebody would install Java, let's say 5 years ago, not think anything else more about it, never update it. And so these hackers had found vulnerabilities in Java from 5 years ago, and since nobody ever did their updates, their computer could still get attacked. This is the same with things like Flash. The Mac operating system is very, very, very secure. About a year ago, they had a hacker contest where they tried to see if a hacker could take over a Mac computer. And if they could take over the Mac computer, they got to keep the computer. Well, when they started, all that the Mac had on it was its base operating system. Nobody could hack that. Then they put on all the quote-unquote the authorized Apple software. Day 2, nobody could hack that. On day 3, they installed normal software onto the computer, such as Adobe Flash, and a hacker was able to take control of the entire computer through a flaw in Flash. So later, Adobe came up with a solution for that and an update. But if your Flash hasn't been updated, somebody could literally take over your computer because of that Flash program. So the first thing you need to do is make sure that your computer is completely updated, not just the operating system, but also the Office suite and all the other little programs that you probably don't think about. Yeah, I know. Updates are nice, but we want something to kill the viruses, to stab them in the heart and kill them dead. That's what's really cool. And that's where antivirus software comes in. Antivirus software is software that resides on your computer that constantly scans and looks for the nasty little viruses that are trying to get into your system. Now, when you're deciding to choose an antivirus solution, there are a couple things that you need to think about. One is that there are both commercial and residential versions of antivirus software. Whether you buy McAfee or whether you buy Norton or Kaspersky or any of the other ones, they have both residential and commercial versions. There's reasons why you would want one or the other. The commercial versions allow for central control and central reporting. So if some segment of your company starts to get infected by a certain virus, the administrator can know about that. Residential antivirus software doesn't have anything like that. The thing with commercial is when you buy it, there is much more of an honor policy on paying for it. You buy it for a certain subscription period, but at the end of that subscription period, it doesn't necessarily stop working. What you have to remember is residential software, it does. So if you go out to Office Depot and you buy a version of McAfee for your home computer, remember, you're only buying that McAfee for 1 year. You're not buying it forever. So don't install it once and then never install any new antivirus software ever again, because after 1 year it'll stop protecting your computer. So a lot of people like the free versions of antivirus software out there. I'm not going to condone it. I think that you get what you pay for, and I think the paid for versions of antivirus software are better than the free antivirus software. One of the things you really have to keep in mind though is if you decide to go with free antivirus software, make sure that you get real antivirus software. We have had many clients who want to go for the free stuff and they download a virus, where what the hackers have done is they've created a virus and then they put it into this nice package that they call antivirus, and they say, hey, download our free antivirus. And so you download the free antivirus and then it takes over your computer. It's really bad. So just remember, if you buy residential antivirus software, that it only lasts for a year. You have to upgrade it every single year. And if you do decide to get a free antivirus software, make sure, one, it's good. There's a lot of stuff out there that there's no virus in it, but it's crap. And also that it's not a virus itself. There's a lot of virus and spyware software posing as antivirus software. Now, other than viruses, I'm sure you've also heard about malware or spyware. You may be wondering what the difference is between a virus and a piece of spyware. Well, viruses are generally self-replicating and they try to do some type of damage to your computer. So they either kill the operating system, they corrupt files, they do something that intentionally causes harm to your system. Spyware, on the other hand, doesn't try to cause any harm to your system. It goes in and it simply tries to collect data, as much data as it can. It'll try to collect usernames, passwords, credit card numbers, the whole 9 yards. So viruses try to damage your computer, spyware or malware tries to collect information from your computer. Now, for some reason, the antivirus companies don't really include anti-spyware products within their antivirus software. I don't understand why. So if you buy antivirus software, it'll get rid of your viruses, but it won't necessarily get rid of your spyware. Seems kind of dumb, but it's true. So when you have your antivirus installed, you're also going to want anti-malware. There are a number of good products out there. We use something called Microsoft Defender. There's also Spybot, Search and Destroy, and Adware. Both Microsoft Defender and Spybot are free. Adware has a free version and a paid-for version. Something that seems a little ironic or weird is where I suggest everybody buys antivirus software because the paid-for version is better than the free versions. In anti-spyware or anti-malware software, it's different. The free versions are generally better than the paid-for versions. So don't waste the $30 on getting a piece of anti-spyware software because it's probably not going to do as well as the free version. So if you're looking for anti-malware software, like I say, I would say Microsoft Defender, Spybot, Search and Destroy, or Adware. The next thing we need to talk about are firewalls. Firewalls are software or hardware products that keep hackers from being able to get into your computer from the internet. So basically, if you have your computer right here, you got this nice little computer here, and you're going out to the internet to surf the web or to get on Skype, have a little instant messenger conversation, that all works fine. But then you have the firewall, so if the bad guys out on the internet try to get in to your computer, it gets blocked at the firewall. Now there's two ways that you'll have this firewall, either on your computer or your network. You can either have a software firewall. This normally comes with antivirus products nowadays. So you install it onto your computer and then it prevents hackers from getting in at your computer. Or you can have the firewall built into your router. So whether you have a DSL modem, a cable modem, or a router, the place where all of your computers connect on the network, that can also have a firewall built in. Now, just because it's built in doesn't mean it's necessarily turned on. So you do need to go into the firewall and make sure that it's turned on. What the firewall does is all the different programs, things like web browsers or Skype or instant messaging, use something called ports to communicate with. So web browsing uses port 80. Mail, SMTP uses port, I think it's 25, and so on. What the firewall does is it blocks that port. So if you don't want people coming in on a different port, you block that port and nobody can get into it. So if you're using pieces of software on your network and they suddenly stop working after you install a firewall, it's probably because your firewall is blocking the port that piece of software needs. If you need to fix this, just Google your piece of software and what port number it needs, and then go into the configuration for the firewall and open that port. So firewalls keep hackers from getting into your computer, but you do have to be a little concerned because they can keep you from doing what you need to do also. So just keep that in mind, and if one of your pieces of software don't work, go into your firewall and open up the appropriate port for it. Now, in order to make your computer more secure and sell you more crap, the major manufacturers of antivirus software have created what are called Internet Security Suites. So it's a package of products, not just antivirus software, but it'll include anti-malware software, it'll include firewall software, it'll include something called site advisors, it'll include all of this stuff into one package. It sounds like a good idea until you have to deal with it professionally. What we have found is most of these companies do one thing very well. So they may build a firewall very well, or they may build antivirus software very well, but they don't do too well on the other things. So we suggest people generally do not buy the Internet Security Suites because you think you're protected from viruses and spyware, and you come to find out though that the company may be one of the best in antivirus software, but also one of the worst in anti-spyware software. That sucks. The other problem that we have found with Internet Security Suites is that they try to do too much and they end up hurting the user. As a little cartoon character once said, "We have met the enemy and it is us." And that's the problem, is many of these security suites shut down your computer so much to hackers that you end up not being able to use them, especially if you don't understand how the Internet Security Suite works. I have gotten paid, sadly, a lot of money by one of the manufacturer's security suites shutting off internet access to computers. So the person will be going along on the internet, going to their websites, going to Yahoo Mail, and all of a sudden they can no longer get to the internet. They call up Verizon or Comcast. Verizon and Comcast says their internet is A-OK, it's a problem with their computer. So they call me out at an hourly rate. I go over to the computer, I go into the configuration, and what do you know? That Internet Security Suite has blocked port 80, or blocked the port that allows them to get onto the internet. They didn't realize that Internet Security Suite could do that or would do that. They have absolutely no idea why it did do it. All they know is they are writing me a check, and all I had to do was sit down at their computer, right click, do a few things, and 3 minutes later they're back on the internet. So their security suite software blocked them from getting on the internet. And we've seen cases of that in other things where the security software will not allow people to install software that they need to install, or it won't allow them to access things that they need to access. So the security suite software, it makes your computer very secure, but many times it can make it too secure, and you need to keep that in mind. Like I say, we suggest that you buy the antivirus software from one manufacturer, you buy the Windows or the anti-spyware software from another manufacturer, and the firewall software from yet another manufacturer. Let each vendor do what it does well, and don't try to mix everything up into one batch. The next way to protect your computer is to properly use privileges and permissions. What does this mean? Well, every computer that is built, every operating system, has users with different permissions levels built into them. So the main user in all computers is either the administrator or what is called the root account in Linux or Unix. And this user can do absolutely anything it wants to the computer. So it can create files, delete files, modify files, format the entire hard drive. That user can do anything that it wants. Well, then there are different levels of users underneath that administrator or root user. So in Windows, there's the user. The user is able to use everything on the computer, but it's not able to install software or make major changes that might damage the computer. So if you want to try to protect your computer more, instead of everybody always tries to log in under the administrator user, create a user account and log in as that user. The reason why this is important is when you go on the internet or when a virus comes into your computer, when that virus starts up, when it activates, it will have the permission level of whoever the current user on that computer is. So if that virus activates and you're the administrator, then that virus has all the privileges that you have. So it can do anything it wants to that computer. On the other hand, if that virus comes in and you're logged in as the user, you don't have any rights to add or remove programs or make major changes. So it also won't be able to do that. So if a virus comes in and you're logged in as an administrator, it can cause all kinds of havoc to your computer. If a virus comes in and you're logged in as a user, it may delete a few files, it may do some annoying stuff, but it won't be able to do the complete havoc that it could do if you were logged in as the administrator. So the next thing that you need to learn and to play with is the permissions and privileges for the different accounts within your operating system, and then try to make sure to never log in as the administrator, because when you log in as the administrator, you make your entire system vulnerable. A tool that you can use to make sure that you don't go to those bad, evil websites that host viruses and spyware is something called a site advisor. What a site advisor does is it has a database of all the bad websites out there that it knows about, and then it tries to prevent you from going to one of those bad sites by accident. So what will happen is if you do a Google search or a Yahoo search, you'll get all your results, and then by those results will be little symbols, either kind of a thumbs up or a thumbs down, saying whether or not the site is good or bad. If there's a thumbs down or red X or whatever that says the site is bad, if you click on the site, you'll first go to a page that says, do you really want to go here? We advise you not to go there because there are viruses or spyware or it's pornographic or I don't know why, but it'll say we advise you not to go. And so if you're accidentally, clicking through the internet, you're surfing the web and you accidentally go to one of these sites, you'll get that block, and instead of getting a virus, you can navigate away and not go there. If you really still want to go to the website in question, you can click yes, I know, and you'll go there, and you may or may not get viruses or spyware because of it. But site advisors are really good little tools to prevent you from accidentally going to someplace stupid. McAfee has Site Advisor for free, and there are also a number of other free pieces of software out there. You just do a Google search and you'll come up with 5 or 6 options. While we're talking about surfing the web, we should also talk about what web browser you use. The web browser is the program that you use to go to whatever web pages that you visit, whether it's CNN.com or Yahoo.com or Google.com. You go there using Internet Explorer, Firefox, Google Chrome, Apple Safari, or any number of other browsers out there. There's probably 50 different browsers. The main web browsers are Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, and Safari. Now, I would advise you not to use Internet Explorer when you're doing the majority of your web browsing. The reason is because Internet Explorer does a lot more than simply browse the web. Way back when Microsoft got into their lawsuit and the courts were trying to tell Microsoft that it had to remove Internet Explorer as a main component of Windows, Microsoft said that Internet Explorer is a main component of Windows and therefore it cannot be removed without damaging the operating system. And now, I don't know about then, but now that is the case. Internet Explorer allows your computer to connect to other computers in ways that other web browsers do not allow. So using Internet Explorer, you can use something called ActiveX controls to create little programs within Internet Explorer. You can use Internet Explorer to remotely control other computers or have your computer be remotely controlled. This offers a lot of functionality, but because it does so many things, it offers a lot of security holes. So Firefox or Google Chrome, all it does is browse the web, really. So it'll go to a website and it'll show you a website. It won't give you remote control to a website. It won't allow you to do weird FTP or other services with the website. All it'll allow you to do is go and view the website. So there's not a lot that a hacker can attack with Firefox or Chrome or Safari, because what's the worst thing that they can do? They can make you go to a different website, or they can play with you a little bit, but they can't really get onto your computer. With Internet Explorer, it's different because it has all that functionality. Hackers can go through your Internet Explorer and get straight into your computer and just cause all kinds of havoc. They can have software get installed, they can have files get transferred, all of this stuff because of the functionality Internet Explorer offers. So I advise all of my clients, if you're browsing the web, I suggest Firefox, but basically use a browser other than Internet Explorer for when you're surfing the web. So when you're going to Yahoo or Google, or you're looking into some third world country in the middle of Africa, use Firefox. There are some websites that require that you use Internet Explorer, so if they require that you use Internet Explorer, then by all means use Internet Explorer, but generally do not use Internet Explorer for web browsing. So those are some thoughts on how to keep your computer safe. Make sure that all of your updates are done for your operating system and all of your software. Make sure that you have a current antivirus subscription and you have current anti-malware software on your computer. Make sure you have a functional firewall. Make sure that you're using permissions properly, so try not to log in as an administrator, try to log in as a normal user. If you are going to be surfing the internet, make sure to use a site advisor to try to protect you from going to sites that you don't want to go to, and try not to use Internet Explorer. Use Firefox or Chrome or Safari. You follow those steps and you should do pretty well. Also make sure that if you do buy one of those internet security suites, make sure it doesn't totally kick you off the internet, that it doesn't protect you too much, because those security suites have a real tendency to keep your computer so secure that even you can't do anything to it. So just be careful if you buy one of those suites. So if you follow all that advice, then your computer should be safe and you should have a good time surfing the internet and not have to worry about those hackers. One of the things to remember when we're talking about internet or computer security is that you can never be 100% secure. And you also have to realize all the pieces of software or hardware or procedures that you use to be secure also have their own downsides. They can cause problems. So firewalls can keep hackers from coming in, but they can end up keeping you from using the software that you want to use. So something to think about when you're deciding how to protect your computers or your network is just keep in the back of your mind that, one, you're never going to be 100% secure, and two, if you install software or devices that make using the computers more difficult, then you're not really helping anybody. So if you install an internet security suite, but it stops you from using the internet, well, that's no good because you need to use the internet. If you're an administrator for a small company and you're trying to secure the network, if you lock down things to the point that your users or you can't use the software or services that you want to use, then those security procedures probably really haven't helped you that much at all. So just something to think about. You can never be 100% secure, and the more security you put on the system, the more problems you can also create. So just something to think about, when you're deciding what to do.